With the STAR test quickly approaching, we're going to go over the 7 steps that we worked on in order to make sure that we effectively slow down and we can make sure that we're going through the STAR test in a efficient manner more so than a quick manner. Remember that we're going to go through the 7 steps process with that. We'll model this first one together with a release test, and we'll model this together as a class, okay? So if you pull out, remember, make sure that the 7 steps are the first thing we're going to do is we're going to circle the title. And everything that we do, we always want to make sure the very first the option that you have is that you're going to circle the title of your presentation. Second thing we're going to do, we'll look it over. When we're looking it over, we're looking for any kind of pictures they might have or graphs as well. We want to make sure that we're looking to see if we can get any pre-reading information as far as what the story could actually be about. After we look it over, we want to go through and we're going to read and mark all of the questions that are on the test. We're not looking at the answer choice at this time. We're only looking at the questions. And we're going to make sure that we mark them accordingly. While we're marking the questions, what we'll be looking for is it drawing a conclusion? Is it looking for the word meaning, the sequence, or how something happens? Are they asking about the setting, the main idea? Are they asking for a cause and effect, factor or opinion, or does the question say the word because? If the question says the word because, they're asking why. Why did this happen? After that, then the next step that we're going to do, make sure that you remember, is we're going to read each paragraph and write the main idea next to the paragraphs. So that way we can have a quick reference point to go back. After reading and writing the main ideas, the next step will be to, at the end of the paper, we're going to write the point of view. Was the story written in first, second, or third person? The author's purpose and the type of story kind of go together. If they were writing to entertain you, then we know that that's going to be a narrative. If they were trying to inform you of something, they were writing an expository. If they were trying to persuade you to do something, then they were writing a persuasive piece. So we'll put that at the end of the story as well. Our next step is when we're going through the answer choices, every answer choice, there are going to be on all questions, there are going to be something that's going to be very obvious that that's not the right answer. So we want to mark out all the dumb answers and then give ourselves a better chance of getting the right answer. After that, we're going to find the answer. Make sure that you're looking back into the story, looking for the answers. And we're not just giving a guess, but we're actually going to go back and move into the story and see if we can find the answers as well. And as always, your attitude and your effort is always going to dictate how well you do on your test. So make sure that you give 100% and that you do your best work. If you go into your STAR test and you go with me to your first selection, it's going to be called the well-worn path. As we just discussed, the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to circle the title. So on my screen, I'm going to actually highlight it, but on your paper, I want you to actually go through and go ahead and circle the title. The name of the story is The Well-Worn Path. All right. The very second step is look it over for any pictures and graphs. This story is actually only one page, so this is the only page that we'll need to look at. And do you see any pictures or graphs? Okay. Yes, at the very bottom there is a picture of a girl. She looks like she's holding a cat and she's smiling. So I'll give you guys a chance or a moment to kind of review the title and the picture and see if you can discover what this story might be about, just based on the title and on the picture. All right, great. The next step is we're going to read and mark the questions. So we're going to go to question number 1. Question 1 says, read line 4 from the poem. The poet include this line most likely to show the dog or show that the dog blank. What are they exactly asking? Read line 4 from the poem. Why does the poet include this line in the play? Let's go back to this where it says our options. Were they trying to draw a conclusion? Did they give you some information? Now they want you to find the answer. Are they asking for the word or what a word means? Are they asking for the order of events, where an event took place? Are they asking you to give them a cause and effect? Is it the main idea? Are they asking a fact or opinion? Or is the word because in the sentence? All right, based on those options, what we know is that based on that, this story is going to be basically meaning or is its drawing conclusion. So next to your paper on that coin, you're going to put DC for drawing conclusion. Next question, what is the main message in the poem? That one there should be fairly simple. We know that when something's asking for the main thing, that they're generally asking what the main idea is. So on this one, we'll type in main or MI for the main idea. Next question, lines 11 through 16 are included in the poem because, remember if we go back to the steps, the word because, if it's inside of your actual question, then that means they're asking the question of why. Why did this happen? So for question number 3, we're going to put next to that, just simply put why, because that's what they're asking for. Question 4, which word best describes the feelings that the poet creates in this poem? I'll give you a second to kind of go over and think about what you think this might be about. All right, what do you think? Which word best describes the feeling that the poet creates in this poem? Are they asking you to draw a conclusion, saying that they gave you information and now I give you an answer? Are they asking you the definition of a word or the order of events? This one could be pretty tricky because you might want to think that it's word meaning because they're saying which word best describes. But what they're basically saying is I gave you some information, now give me an answer. So on this one here, we're going to write DC next to it because they want you to draw a conclusion. I gave you this information, now find me an answer. Question number 5. What is the speaker doing in the poem? Again, if you go back here, look at your options, and what do you think this one is? That's right. This one here is also going to be drawing conclusion. They gave you some information, and now they want you to provide them with an answer. And lastly, question number 6. Lines 5 through 8 are important to the poem because they show that the dog, and we've already discussed this in the earlier state or in the earlier question, that if the word because right here is in there, if that word is in there, then they're asking you why. Why did this happen? So next to it, we're going to write the word why. Following our model, the next step is we're going to read each paragraph and write the main idea next to it. I'm going to let you guys do this part on your own, and then we'll come back together as a class after you finish this, okay? Okay, now that you've read over the poem, this one is a little bit more tricky because it's a poem and an actual story. So on here, we're going to look at the stanzas compared to an actual paragraph. And with the stanzas on, sometimes it is okay if you need to include more than one stanza to make sure that you can write the main idea out to the side. Remember, make sure on the side of this one, on each paragraph, you're writing the main idea. So on this first one where it says, you scampered down this well-worn path when you were just a pup, and as we grew, I ran with you, I struggled to keep up. What might you write right there? All right, on this one here, you might have written something to the effect of growing up. Remember, it just has to be something very quick. It doesn't have to be anything really big or in depth, just something quick so when you look through your questions, you can come immediately back. Go ahead and go through the rest of the paragraphs and make sure that you're adding on a statement after each paragraph, or again, if you want to include a couple of different stanzas, then you can do that as well and add those. So I'll give you guys a little time, so make sure that you can go through those accordingly. All right, the next portion if you can recall, the next portion is we're going to write the point of view, author's purpose, and the type of story. The point of view is fairly simple. In the essay itself, did they use the word I, me, my, or mine? If they did, then that's going to be first person. As you can see in this one here, they did use the word I several times. So that's going to be written in first person. And then for the type of story, were they trying to explain something to you, or were they writing this for fun, or was this something they were trying to persuade you to do? And as you know, this paper was actually written to entertain you regarding a female and her dog. So this was written, the author's purpose was to entertain, and the type of story was a narrative. So at the very bottom of the paper, you're going to write that down at the bottom regarding what that was. Now, after we look at those things, the next step that we're going to do is it's now time to mark out the dumb answers, and then we're going to find the answers. So if we go back in here and then we go to our actual answer documents, on our questions, this is the time where you would actually read through, whereas, for instance, on question number 1, it says read line 4 from the poem. The first thing we should probably do is go back and find line 4, which is going to be right up here, or right around here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And then on this test, it actually does have it down there as well, where it says I struggle to keep up. So one thing I want you to do is make sure that you're going back for each question. I want you to make sure that you're going back and telling me where you found the answer at. Looking back in the story and not just struggling or going with off your memory. I want you to actually go back and look at the story and see where the answer is. At this time, go ahead and answer the 6 questions in this story, and then we'll come back together again. Okay, now that you've had an opportunity to go through the paper and make sure that you're looking at the correct answers, I'm going to show you the correct answers, and I want you to mark right or wrong on your actual answer document. And then we're going to go and do a table talk with each other to see why you missed something or if you missed any questions at all. So the questions will roll through very slowly on the screen. So if you look up, all right, at this time you guys can go ahead and begin your table talk regarding which answers you got correct and wrong. I want you to come together and not just give each other the answers, but I want you to explain through and walk with each other as far as how you got the right answer and why. But more importantly, remember the last and final step is, did you give attitude and effort, and did you give your 100% and do your absolute best work? If you did, no matter what your grade is, then you're also a winner. All right, thank you guys so much.